Hi, I am going to talk today about Medicare scams, a not very happy subject, but something I can hopefully save you and your family a lot of money and heartache on. Hi, I'm Sylvia Gordon. This is my mannequin, Lenny. This is my dad, Dick Gordon. Started the business, taught me everything I know about Medicare. He couldn't be here today, so he asked me to bring his head. And I want to talk about a scam that hit very close to home. It hit my own mother-in-law. And then when I started asking people at seminars I do around the country, have any of you heard of this scam? Has any of it happened to you? And everybody's raising their hands. So if you are watching this live at home, go in the comments and tell me if this happened to you, if they've called you, or if you actually got scammed, lost some money, or if there's another scam maybe that you want to alert me about so that I can alert all the thousands of people across the country that we work with about. So let's talk about the scam that happened to my mother-in-law. And I will call her Grandma. So Grandma stays at home. She's 83 years old. And she gets a call in the middle of the day from my son, her grandson. And you know how kids are. They don't call you. My son doesn't call me. If he calls me, he's in the hospital or in jail, right? They text. Or they come to see you, but they don't call. So she thought that was weird that he called her because he never calls. And it wasn't Elliot. It was some guys, some bad guys that said that they were drug dealers and that they had kidnapped my son. And that if she didn't pay his drug debt, $4,000, in an hour, they were going to kill him. So I can't even imagine how terrible she felt at that moment. You know, the thought that her grandson could get killed. And naturally, she tried to call her son, Elliot's dad. And naturally, he was working. He didn't pick up. And so she tried to call Elliot back, and he didn't pick up. So what did she do? She gets in the car. She rushes out to the bank to withdraw $4,000. Well, luckily, the bank is aware that this is a common scam on people that are on Medicare. So the bank said, ma'am, $4,000 is a lot of money to take out of the bank. Could we ask you why you need it? And she said, my grandson's in trouble. I need it, and I'm in a hurry. So they knew it was a scam, but they can't not give her money, right? But they said, ma'am, chances are really good this is a scam and that you shouldn't do it. Well, she didn't believe him. She knew she had the time was, clicking down on this 1 hour from these bad guys. And she didn't know. I think maybe it'd be different if my son had a history with drugs, but he's never had a history with drugs. He's not been arrested with drugs or struggled with drugs. So, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have a drug problem. She just wasn't aware of it. But for those of you that have grandkids that maybe have already had trouble, of course you're going to believe this, right? I was thinking, why'd she fall for this? My son's a good kid. He doesn't do drugs. But all she was thinking is all the TV she's seen and the people that get killed, and she watches the news, and she's going to save him. So she gets the $4,000, and she goes to CVS. No, she goes to Kroger. And she goes to Western Union to do a money order. And she's filling the papers out as fast as she can. And they said, ma'am, you've never done a money order here before. Could we ask you what the money order is for? And she said, it's a private matter. My grandson's in trouble. They knew it was a scam. They see this all the time. Thank you, Western Union. They wouldn't let her do it. They refused to help her. And I could see that would be really frustrating for her because she thought her grandson was going to get killed. But they were trying to help her. So she gets in her car and she drives over to CVS. And she goes up there, I need to do a money order. I need to do it really fast. Well, now she's only got half an hour left, right? Luckily, we live in a small town, so she's made these rounds. And they said, you want to do a $4,000 money transfer wire? Can we ask you why? And she said, look, I'm in a big hurry. It's a private matter for my grandson. And they wouldn't let her do it. They said there's a lot of fraud with retirees, especially people your age on Medicare. And we really think the chances are good that you're being scammed, and we're not going to process your wire transfer. So now she is in an utmost panic, right? Now she is losing her mind because the clock is ticking. And so she goes across the street to Walgreens. and Walgreens let her do it. So it took her almost an hour to get that $4,000 there to save his life. So she goes back home, and it's been almost an hour. So my son, who was in college at the time, by now he's out of class. So he calls her and he says, "Hey, Grandma, I saw I missed a call from you. What's up?" You know, her heart's beating. And she said, "What do you mean, what's up?" Then he said, "Well, I saw I missed a call from you." So real quickly, she's realizing something's wrong. And she goes, "Are you okay?" And he said, "Yeah, I was in finance. Is something wrong with you?" And she said, "No, I'm fine. Ignore the call." She realized that it was a scam. And then shortly thereafter, her son called her because he'd gotten out of his appointment. He said, "Hey, Grandma, Mom, I see I missed your call. What's up?" And so she told him. She told him what happened. And of course, he was heartbroken because the fear that had to have gone through her heart for that hour, and, you know, all the obstacles she had to face in her mind to try to save his life. You know, it was hard for her to get that wire out there to save his life. And then the embarrassment, you know, the humiliation to be taken for $4,000. Somebody that's worked really hard and been frugal her whole life, you know, never, ever, you know, passed up a coupon and opportunity to save money, to lose $4,000 like that. And then just the humiliation because you're older and now you start to think, man, am I going senile? No, you're not. This is a very common scam. It catches a lot of people, and most of them do not have dementia. They're just, you know, they're scared. So the best thing that I can do as an insurance agent that trains insurance agents, thousands of agents all across the country rely on us, our company at Gord Marketing, and we try to train agents about these scams. Like I'm trying to train you right now. You are the people on Medicare, to tell your friends, tell your neighbors, spread the word to people at church. Because when I do a seminar and I say, "Has anybody had the scam?" and they call you and say that they have your grandkid and they need money, I now have like 3 or 4 hands go up. I can't believe how common this is. I had one lady that she said, "Oh yeah, the last 10 years I've probably been called 3 times." I said, "Did you ever fall for it?" She said, "Nope. I got 1 grandkid in jail and 2 in the military overseas. So I knew it was a scam." Now, some of the other people got hit for a lot more money. One of the worst stories, and you can Google this on the internet if you're bored, was a lady who lived in Michigan. Her grandson lived in Canada, right across the border. And she gets a call from the people that have him, and they said, "Look, he was trying to run drugs across the international border, and we have him. And if we don't get, you know, $20,000, whatever." It's $20,000. Okay, so she paid right away $20,000. Well, then they thought, well, they got a real sucker on the line. She paid $20,000. If she can pay $20,000, she can probably pay more. So they said, we need another $6,000 so we don't impound the boat. Because if we take the boat, you know, it becomes the property of the government. So she paid another $6,000 for the boat. So now we're at $26,000. I don't remember where the math goes. She ended up getting hit for $38,000. I mean, they just kept adding on. And obviously she had the money and she just kept paying it. So it's heartbreaking that there are people out there that's their whole job. I get up every day and I go to work and I train people on Medicare. There's people that get up every day and think about how to scam people on Medicare. The Medicare fraud that the government knows about, the government's own accounting office estimates that there's $300 million of fraud every single day in America. Now, when I wrote the class I teach on that, it was several years ago. So I'm sure it's higher than 300 million now. But it is a big, big, big fraud. And that's not talking about the fraud on you. That's not talking about the fraud on grandma. That's talking about the fraud on the Medicare system, on the government. I bet there's no reliable statistics on the fraud on grandma and grandpa because most people don't report it. So when it happened to grandma, I said, we need to report it. And she's like, I'm already embarrassed. I don't, it's over. There's no possible way to get your money back. Let's just move on. And I said, no, we need to report it because it needs to get out there so that other people know, so law enforcement knows, so it gets on the statistic and it gets a publicity. It's the only thing we can do right now is try to help other people. So let's try to do that. So please do your part to spread the information about this fraud. If you've been defrauded in any way, let me know in the comments. I hope I've helped you today. If I've helped you, help me, because it helped me. If you will like my post, if you will give me some love, an emoji or a comment, or if you share it with a friend, that would help me greatly and I would appreciate it. And I will be back to give you more helpful tips next week. Thanks, guys. Okay, turn that off. Turn that off.
Go ahead and on this one too.